Hi, my name is Ursula and I'm an instructor at the College of DuPage. Today I'm going to be talking a little bit about how to take notes. So there are several different ways in which you can take notes. One of the biggest ways to make that decision on which method you're going to use is what are you taking notes on. So for example, if you're going to take notes about your textbook, then I think the best way to do that would be to use just the regular outline format, because most textbooks are set up that way. They have a main point, which would be your Roman numeral, and then they have their subpoints, which would be like your capital letters, and then those subpoints have their points in there, so like that would be your 1s and 2s, 3s. And then each of those will have like definitions or new terms or maybe example problems or something like that, and so you would use your lowercase letters for that. So because the textbooks are set up in a very orderly fashion, this outline method is probably the best bet for taking notes out of a textbook. If you're going to be taking notes on a lecture, then that's a little bit different, because not all lecturers are going to be set up to be this organized. Some people have a problem figuring out, like, well, what is important to write, because people just tend to write frantically. So some of the things that you're going to look for or listen for when you're listening to a lecture are repeats, writes, and pauses. So if the person giving the lecture tends to repeat a point over and over again, that means it's important, and so you should be writing that down. So anything that gets repeated several times, that's an important point, and you should be writing that down. Anytime that they take the time to write down something themselves, so if they stop talking and they start writing something down on the board, that would mean that that's an important part of the lecture, and so you should write it down as well. Anytime that they take a pause, so if they've said something and then they seem to be waiting for a minute, they're waiting for you to write that down. So if they're taking pauses, that means that what they just said, that was an important part, okay? So if you need to know what it is that you should be writing, listen for anything that they repeat, write down anything that they write, and then if they take a pause, that means that that point was important. Okay. One of the easier ways to take notes during a lecture is this system, which is called the Cornell Note system. So it's basically, you have these 3 sections on your paper, and you just draw the lines yourself. This bigger section right here is for you to take the notes, so like as you're in the class listening, you just write in here. Then when the class is over, you want to review your notes as soon as possible, and then you're going to fill out this column here, which is the question column. And so this is to help you study for the test. So for example, say they were talking about the causes of World War I, and so over here you have like, assassination of Franz Ferdinand and whatever. So then when you get out of class, you would write down, over here in this column, what were the causes of World War I? So that when it comes time to study, what you do is you would cover up this part of the page, and then you would ask yourself, what were the causes of World War I? And then here are your answers. And so this will help you study for that test. If you make this list of questions here, these are basically the answers that you need to study. And so it makes for a really good study guide, because you really won't have time to re-listen to a lecture all over again. Just like you won't have time to reread entire chapters in a textbook. So you need to make sure that your notes are good the first time through. And then down here would be a summary. So you would just say, this particular page was about cause of World War I. And so then when you know those things, and you can cross that out, and you know that you can go on and study something else that you haven't memorized yet. Okay, so we have several videos of this type on our webpage, which is cod.edu. There are videos on how to take the ACT and the SAT. We have this one on note-taking. There's another one on time management. And I hope that you find something useful in all those videos.